Hi, Mike Mitchell, MikeMitchellLeadership.com. Hey, again, thank you so much for joining us on this journey where we're publishing tips that leaders need to implement sooner rather than later. And today's tip is number 6. And this one is a little different, and I'm going to come at you on kind of a personal side here. Issue number 6 is about trust. You know, I can remember when I wrote my Gen X book 20 years ago or so, the first book, younger generations didn't trust management. In the last 5 or 6 years, this has expanded to where almost the entire company doesn't trust management. And I want to make a key point here. You have to understand that it's not that you're not trustworthy, it's that our younger employees grew up in a generation where on social media and traditional media, they saw the media questioning authority figures for alleged wrongdoing at every turn. So they grew up in a culture where it was okay to question authority figures, and with that comes an inherent lack of trust. You know, it's interesting. Mostly what I do in my leadership workshops is we do a pre-workshop survey, and one of the questions I always hide in there with a circle 1, 2, 3, or 4 is credibility in management, judging the trust. Now you got to understand, most of these workshops are upper and mid-level managers, right? Not just a C-suite. In 20 years of doing this, it has never come out higher than 2.4 on a 4-point scale. So even managers don't trust management. And you have to understand that without trust, there will never be loyalty. And so I guess my bottom line question that all of us need to ask each other as leaders is, would you trust you? Do your behaviors over the most recent and before that period of time reflect somebody that's trustworthy? You know, and I think the 3 tips that I want to leave you with here are, number 1, you got to be consistent. You know, I can remember years ago, I was doing executive coaching with a CEO, and the CEO really started to morph into more of an empathetic leader. And then when the metrics weren't met, you know, and the venture capital guys jumped on his back, he immediately became autocratic and negative and started cutting people. And I can remember talking to him and refunding his money because we had created somebody that became empathetic and then reverted back. And that lack of consistency contributed to a significant world of lack of trust above and beyond anything that would have happened just organically or naturally, right? So you always have to consider, am I trustworthy? Do they trust me? If you're looking at the managers that work on the level underneath you, do their people trust them? And how do we get to be more trustworthy, understanding that the employees come to the workplace with an inherent lack of trust to begin with? So number 1, got to be consistent. Number 2, I sit in these presentations and I hear the word I all the time. Hey, I thought this, or I think this, you know, from a leader's perspective. Man, they don't trust you, so it can't be I expectations. It can't be my expectations, right? Tie those back and use the word we or the word team, or substitute this is what we need to be more effective servicing our clients internally and externally. Bring it back to purpose or bring it back to culture. And finally, my last tip is we got to be better listeners. And it's not just listening, okay? When we do listen, we have to positively reinforce the fact that they contributed their honest thoughts and opinions to us. And by positively reinforcing them, we're more likely to get additional opinions down the road, or maybe even somebody else at the table that was afraid to speak up. So listen, positively reinforced, and then act on what you heard. The worst thing is you act or you ask for input and then you don't act on it. You'll never get input again. So, man, let's all be more trustworthy leaders. Let's change this trend of younger employees not trusting management. Be consistent. Get away from the word I. You want to use we or tie it back to purpose or team. This is what the team expectations are. That would be great. And finally, be a good listener. Positively reinforce the fact that they contributed to you, because we need that input to be great, right? And then act on that, what you heard. This is Mike Mitchell, MikeMitchellLeadership.com. Go to our website. There's 5 tips ebook. You just click the button and download the ebook and you sign up. If you're interested in having me come and speak to your association or your organization, information on our workshops and keynotes is there as well. This is Mike Mitchell, MikeMitchellLeadership.com. Until next time.